Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys go all the way, it's not really that far, to LA, to beautiful SoFi Stadium to battle the Chargers. Before we get into the over-unders and everything that entails, let me first tell you about the website, Fantasy Six Pack. I'm sure you're aware of it by now. This is the last game of Week 6. We've been together for quite some time now. If you followed me from site to site, home to home, but right now and for the time being, and for it, I'd like to remain here at Fantasy Six Pack until my services are no longer needed or I decide to walk away from the game. But that's way, way, way far down the road. But let's talk about some of the prices that they have here. And first and foremost, I'm only going to mention one. It's $9.99 a month, and you get all access. And what you're going to want to get into is the Fantasy Six Pack Discord. That's where all the action is. That's where I'm most accessible. That's where Dave Eddy is most accessible. Keith Fleming, everybody, even your favorite rankers, Joe, Keith, all of these guys are in the Discord 24/7 to answer any questions that you have. Start sit stuff, rankings, as I said, sports betting, DFS stuff. We're giving it away in the Discord, so you gotta be there. And it's only $9.99 a month. You can pick what sports you want, and sure, there's larger packages. It's whatever you're after. Of course, we know in life, as men as women, there's small packages and there's large packages. It just depends on this time. Actually, you get to choose what size your package is, and $9.99 to me is a perfect size package. So let's talk about this football game, shall we? As it stands now, the over/under is around 51 points, and that's beautiful for a game with Dak and Herbert and so much of this offense and an explosion that could happen. But when we look at this thing, Dallas 3-2, they're going to LA, as I said. LA's 2-2 in their own right, so they're kind of hanging out. Again, it's only this is the end of Week 6, but things are starting to take shape. Kickoff promptly at 8:15 p.m. When we look at this one, it to me personally, there's a way to attack this game, and it's got to be with the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers, seeing how the Chargers are literally dead last in defending opposing wide receivers. But there are other little quirky things in this video or in this game that I like, especially the Chargers tight ends, because Dallas is 23rd, 24th against defending opposing tight ends. So we're going to get a little bit of everything in this thing. We're 3 minutes in. We're going to keep it to 10 minutes. Back in the DFS dungeon, it's where I do some of my best work. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Dak Prescott, shall we? Dak at the Chargers. The Chargers 31st overall against opposing quarterbacks this season. That is beautiful green as it gets. Only 32 teams in the league, and the Chargers are 31st. On FanDuel, he's 13 grand. DraftKings 10,000, and on Yahoo, he's 27 bucks. I'm looking at Dak at like 24 to 25 completions, around that 270 yard mark, but only one touchdown pass, right? And I said the over under, it's around 51, and I do see a points explosion, but I think it's for Dallas. A lot of this is going to happen on the ground. Could Dak get to 2 touchdowns? Absolutely. Am I comfortable saying to you Dak is going to throw for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns? Absolutely. So when we look at this one, 3 to 4 carries, another 15 or 20 yards. So Dak, you're going to get what you pay for from Prescott this evening. We're going to have to take the good with the bad because, again, as I said, Chargers DST is not the best at some things, but they do have some ball hawking guys in there, and Dak has been known to make a few mistakes. So I think we can count on Dak to throw, one interception. Is that going to tip the scale for the Chargers DST? Absolutely not. Let's talk about Justin Herbert going against the Dallas Cowboys, but he is at home in that beautiful $5-6 million stadium they call SoFi. But the Dallas Cowboys right now 6th overall against opposing quarterbacks. They get after quarterbacks. They have a pass rush. They have an unbelievably good pass rush. And again, if we rewind the clocks back to yesterday on Sunday, we saw San Francisco lose. news and people throwing Brock Purdy under the bus and all, but nobody's really mentioning that the Cleveland Browns defensive line is outstanding, that their defense just in general is just overwhelming. And I'm not comparing Dallas to the Browns, but I'm saying we could see a typical situation here where the Dallas Cowboys are just getting after Herbert play after play after play. But the kicker here is Herbert is, in my book, a lot better than Brock Purdy. No slight of Purdy, but Herbert is a stone cold stud, superstar, blue chipper, and you're going to see that in his price tag. $15.5 on FanDuel, $10.8 on DraftKings, $32 on Yahoo. Herbert, 26 to 27 completions. I'm thinking 280 to 290 passing yards, a pair of touchdown passes, 4 or 5 carries, nothing crazy, 14, 15 yards. We know he'll move the chains when need be. When we look at the running backs, let's just get it out right out in the open. The Dallas Cowboys running backs. It's Tony Pollard's world, kind of, and we're living in it. Now I'm going to get to Rico Dowdle. I do like him tonight. He's highlighted in green, and if you know, you know. But when we look at Tony Pollard against the Chargers 26th overall against opposing running backs. So there it is again. Dallas Cowboys have a beautiful chance here to hang 30 plus points in this one if they do it right. So when you look at Pollard, $14,000 on FanDuel, 9.6 on DK, $26 on Yahoo, 16, 17 carries, 75 to 80 yards on the ground. Him finding the end zone is a given. That is the easiest anytime touchdown bet I think you can place, aside from Christian McCaffrey most weeks. Unfortunately, he was hurt yesterday. We wish him the best. In the reception portion of things, I have Tony 4 to 5 receptions for another 35 to 40 yards. So to me, I would feel completely comfortable placing a bet that Tony Pollard has over 100 all-purpose yards and he finds the end zone. That's just me. When we look at Rico here, only $7,000 on FanDuel, $2K on DK, and $26 on Yahoo. 5-6 carries, 20 to 25 yards, a reception or two for another 10 to 15 yards here. There's just this feeling that I have right here, and I said it yesterday live on the broadcast with Fantasy Six Pack. I had the same feeling with Jerome Ford, of all people, yesterday, the Cleveland Browns running back. And Jerome Ford didn't find the end zone, but he's a nice little score if you used him in DFS circles. And I'm getting the same vibes here from Rico this evening, and it's just because the price tag is low. 5 to 6 carries, that could easily be 7 to 8 depending on the game flow here. And Deuce Vaughn, we've read stories about him as of late. They want to get him more involved. We know his height. There's no need to make fun of anything that Deuce Vaughn has going on because he is a professional football player and we're not. I'm just a broadcaster. You're watching the video, so I'm not going to make fun of anybody who's a professional athlete. I wouldn't make fun of anybody. I guess if you give me a reason, I tear you to shreds. But Deuce Vaughn has given me no such reason. When you look at Deuce Vaughn, 6.5 on FanDuel, only $1,000 on DraftKings, $11 on Yahoo. 2 to 3 carries, 12 to 15 yards, a reception or two for another 8 to 10 yards. To me, Rico and Deuce make for nice lineup fillers in these big multi-enter GPPs for $1, where you can put in 150 lines, right? If you're playing cash games, Rico and Deuce Vaughn probably off the radar. In GPPs, which I do cover, that is my specialty here, I have a soft spot for Rico and Deuce tonight. When we look at the Chargers running backs, I said it's Tony Pollard's world and we're just living in it. When you look at the Chargers, it's all about Austin Ekeler. And again, this season, injuries have started to pop up, but he looks to be back to full health. Hopefully, he does have a questionable tag tonight, but that looks to be just as a precaution, right? Austin Ekeler will play tonight. Dallas, 14th overall against opposing running backs. And Ekeler, when he's on the field, I look at him as just like him and Christian McCaffrey are just like, again, Christian McCaffrey is probably, that was a silly statement by me. Christian McCaffrey is in a class of his own, but I will say that I'll ask you, when Austin Ekeler is 100% healthy and rolling, this guy can do things that not a lot of folks on the this planet can do. And as it stands right now, he's 16.5 on FanDuel, 11.2 on DK, $29 on Yahoo, 13-14 carries. I'm thinking anywhere in that 60 to 65 yard range on the ground, and 4 to 5 receptions for another 45 to 50 yards. So again, 100 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. So far, why don't we just do it? I'm going to book it as soon as this broadcast is over. Tony Pollard, over 100 all-purpose yards and a touchdown, and we'll do the same thing with Austin Ekeler, over 100 all-purpose yards and an anytime touchdown. After that, it's Josh Kelly, who I have there's no reason to look Josh Kelly's way. He had the backfield to himself for like 3 or 4 weeks and literally did nothing. I would actually prefer Isaiah Spiller in certain spots. A couple carries, 10, 15 yards, nothing crazy. He's cheap enough to fill in if you need that kind of relief. When we look at the wide receivers, this is where we really need to dig in and move the pieces around here, because Dallas, we know they have a collection of wide receivers who are quite talented. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallups, Brandon Cooks is there, Jalen Tolbert, Turpin. All of these guys, and some of them are young. I can call them kids, I guess, because I'm 39 years old. You know, the Chargers are dead last against opposing wide receivers. So I'm sure if some bum like me knows that, then the head coaching staff of the Dallas Cowboys knows that, and they're going to try to exploit this matchup. What better way to do that than with CeeDee Lamb? 14.5 on FanDuel, $9,000 on DraftKings, $30 on Yahoo. I have Lamb, 8-9 targets, 6-7 receptions, 75 to 80 yards. And I think for some odd reason, they give CeeDee Lamb some sort of weird carry, you know, like what would you call that? A scat back, wildcat formation kind of thing, where he rips it for like 10 to 15 yards, something along those lines. And get this, CeeDee Lamb averaging 13.3 yards a reception. That's beautiful. That is I love that. When we move down the list, Michael Gallup, I love the graphic of Michael Gallup, as you can see right there. He's got the ball, he's smiling, he's happy, he's healthy. So to me, if Michael Gallup is active, he's always going to be on my radar, as he is tonight. And when you look at his price tag, it's just like, it's astounding. $8,000 on FanDuel, 2.8 on DK, only $18 on Yahoo. And for these price tags, you're looking at 6 to 7 targets, 4, maybe 5 receptions. I'm thinking 50 to 60 yards, and that's the elusive touchdown. Is Michael Gallup one of those guys that's going to receive a touchdown from Dak, right? Again, I have Dak for 1. 2 is well within his reach here, but is it going to be Lamb or Gallup? Obviously, Lamb is the more talented guy, but why can't we have Lamb and Gallup both scoring touchdowns? Let's talk about Brandon Cooks briefly. He's even cheaper, and I'm looking at almost the same output as Michael Gallup with a couple $100 cheaper than Michael Gallup. Brandon Cooks, 7.5 on FanDuel, 5.4 on DK, only $15 on Yahoo. 6 to 7 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 50 to 60 yards, and I do think Cooks is the one who scores the touchdown rather than Michael Gallup. So to me, Brandon Cooks is, as it stands right now, one of my favorite MVP captain spot candidates for the entire slate. So keep that in mind for Brandon Cooks. Jalen Tolbert, Kavontae Turpin, nothing crazy going on there. When we look at the Chargers wide receivers, Keenan Allen has been unbelievably good, right? But get this, Dallas equally as good against opposing wide receivers. They are 3rd overall against opposing pass catchers. But Keenan Allen, again, one of those guys, DVP proof, set it and forget it. Don't worry about it. When you look at his price tag, it's a ton of cash. He's $16,000 even on FanDuel, $10K on DraftKings, $30 on Yahoo. But again, 10, 11 targets, 7 to 8 receptions, 85 to 90 yards. He will also find the end zone here. So we got a killer parlay already coming along if you have a pen and paper and you're keeping score at home. And get this, Keenan Allen averaging 12.4 yards a reception, That's a beautiful thing. Another favorite of mine in this slate, aside from Brandon Cooks, another consideration for MVP captain spot is Josh Palmer, but he does have a questionable tag. He's dealing with some sort of groin injury, so let's be on the lookout for that. Everything I've read so far yesterday and into today, into the afternoon, Josh Palmer will be active. He's 11 grand on FanDuel, 7 grand on DraftKings, only 15 bucks on Yahoo, 7-8 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. I do think Josh Palmer and Brandon Cooks both catch touchdowns. That parlay in general would be sweet. Cooks anytime touchdown, Josh Palmer anytime touchdown. And look at this, Palmer averaging 14.5 yards of reception, and he's been a target hog, a target monster, and that's awesome to see because Keenan Allen's been the same way. So Herbert definitely loves to look Keenan Allen's way, and Josh Palmer. The rookie Quentin Johnson, 8 grand on FanDuel, 4-2 on DK, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 35 to 40 yards. The rookie only averaging 7.3 yards a reception. You don't like to see that, but he'll work the kinks out. He's too talented to just fade away into the abyss. But is he a factor tonight? Not necessarily in my book, the way I'm seeing this game. And when we get down, I found this guy interesting, a guy we can pluck out of nowhere and put into some GPP lineups, and that's Darius Davis. He's 5-5 on FanDuel, only $1,400 on Yahoo, the bare minimum, $1,400 on DK, the bare minimum 10 on Yahoo. 2 to 3 targets, 1 to 2 receptions, 15 yards or so. I think they get this guy 1 or 2 carries on some pitches or a reverse or a flea flick or something weird is going to happen with this kid Darius Davis in my heart of hearts. So just keep that on the radar. I'm not saying put him in an MVP or captain spot, and I'm not saying he's a must play tonight, but Darius Davis is a name I think we should, we should keep on our radar. When we look at the tight ends, not much going on here. The Chargers very good against tight ends, 8th overall, and you're looking at Jake Ferguson, Lake Schoonemaker, Wanamaker, however it is. And of the two, it would be Jay Ferguson, 5-6 targets, 3-4 receptions, around 40 yards. Jake Ferguson, to me, has one of the safest floors of any player here tonight. So to me, in cash builds, Jake Ferguson would absolutely be in one of my lineups. If you're playing GPPs, Jake Ferguson will also be. So Jake Ferguson can have it all here tonight, given his price tag and given the potential. You're looking at 3 to 4 targets, 40 yards. If he finds the end zone, then we're on easy street. It's like Monopoly money in that case. When we look at the Chargers tight ends, Donald Parham Jr., Gerald Everett, I'll speed this thing up. We're almost at 18 minutes. Donald Parham Jr. scored 3 touchdowns so far this season. Gerald Everett has 0.0 touchdowns. And right now, Parham Jr., he's got a sprained wrist, right? And if Donald Parham Jr. is deemed inactive at the last minute, I think Gerald Everett is a must-have in all lineups, whether it's cash, whether it's GPP. So keep an eye on that. Again, I'll repeat myself. If Donald Parham Jr. is inactive tonight, make sure to get Gerald Everett in your lineups, even in an MVP captain spot, and that is only if Parham Jr. Is inactive. 3 to 4 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 30-40 yards, and Everett could be a guy finally breaks through and catches his first touchdown of the season, and given his price tags, we are in, once again, hog heaven. When we look at the DSTs and the kickers, I'll keep this quick, put this thing in a bow, give you a final score, a couple betting trends, and we'll split. We know the deal here. Dallas and the Chargers, the over-under's at 51, so you're looking at, they're expecting like a 30 to 20 game, 31 to 20 something kind of final score here. So the defenses, to me, the only one that's in play is Dallas, just based on sacks and interception potential, things along those lines. They're 10 grand on FanDuel, 3.8 on DraftKings, only $18 on Yahoo. And when we get to the kickers, I don't normally really, screw with kickers on a single game slate, but Brandon Aubrey for the Dallas Cowboys has piqued my interest. He's $9,000 on FanDuel, $5,000 on DraftKings. He's going to be busy. I have him 3 for 3 extra points, 2 for 2 for field goals, maybe 3 for 3 field goals here. So you see where I'm going here. Cameron Dicker the kicker. That's up to you. A few extra points. I think he's 1 for 2 in field goals. But I'll give you what you came here for. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this one here tonight, 28-24, in what should be a great game. If you fall asleep or doze off in the third, fourth quarter like I will, and wake up and watch the last few minutes of this game, I think that's the kind of outlook we're looking at here. Just a sweet game, right down to the wire, a lot of action, and I have my highlighted guys here: Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Keenan Allen, and Gerald Everett. Green, you can pivot to these guys. It's Rico, Josh Palmer, this Darius Davis kid, and the Dallas DST. As I said, Dallas wins this one 28-24, and they go on and they move on in the NFC, and they improve to 4-2. When we look at some recent betting trends, the under has hit in 6 of Dallas's last 9 games, the over in 4 of the Chargers' last 6, and I'll leave you with that. I had a few more, but we're at 20 minutes, and that was 10 more minutes than I said I was going to do. So I appreciate you being here, watching the videos. Thank you so much. Dallas will win this thing 28-24 in what should be a fantastic Monday Night Football game. I want to thank you for all the love and support these last 6 weeks. Bottom of the Barrel is doing very well. These videos are doing very well, and without you, Detroit Beastie does not exist. So I thank you for everything you've done for me so far, and we still got a lot left to do, and I will see you again for Thursday Night Football and then again on Sunday. But let's be on the lookout for Bottom of the Barrel quarterbacks. Will be dropping tomorrow on Tuesday. Be good, be safe. Dallas wins this one 28-24. See you later. Bye.